The Texas Senate race. For weeks now, we've told you just how tight the polls are, and perhaps as a reflection of that, analysts have shifted the race. The highly regarded Cook Political Report has moved the contest between Republican Ken Paxton and Democrat James Talarico from lean Republican to toss-up. The latest Real Clear Politics average of polls between June 3rd and August 10th shows Talarico ahead of Paxton by 1.2 percentage points, 46 to 44.8%. In a post on X, Paxton told followers, quote, "We need your help," urging people to go to his website, quote, "to defeat socialist James Talarico and save Texas." In a post on X earlier last week, Talarico's campaign commented after Fox News shifted the race to a toss-up. We're a couple of weeks away from Labor Day weekend, when analysts say people typically start to focus on the election. Early voting starts about 2 months from now. So what are Talarico and Paxton saying about each other on social media and on air? Talarico has been spending millions of dollars running ads on TV for weeks now, and the Austin state lawmaker has been introducing himself. His latest ad features his grandfather, a Baptist preacher, and them sitting on a front porch and talk about God and Talarico's position on affordability. On social media, Talarico blasts Paxton on affordability, citing a recent report showing the Attorney General owns 15 homes worth $9 million while on a government salary of $153,000. Also on X, Talarico is showing a video of Paxton taking someone else's $1,000 pen from the Collin County Courthouse 14 years ago. Paxton returned it after being questioned about it and said it was a mistake, while Talarico accused Paxton of stealing it. The pen's owner endorsed Talarico. Paxton has not been airing ads on TV, but has said that will change once he raises more money. On X, though, Paxton says Talarico is willing to sacrifice children at the altar of the trans movement, calling him, quote, "too weird and too radical for Texas." The Paxton campaign is also criticizing Talarico for his vote as a state lawmaker against keeping men out of girls' sports. And Paxton has also slammed Talarico, accusing him of trying to end the state's oil and gas industry that he says generates $385 billion into the state's economy. In 2021, state records show Talarico filed a bill that would have required statewide greenhouse gas emissions to be reduced to 50% below the 1990 levels by 2030 and to 90% below the 1990 level by 2050. That bill died in committee. I spoke with Texas Woman's University political science professor Parker Hevron about the candidates' messaging and the strategies both candidates are using in the race.
Paxton, right now, to me at least, is running a race that he appears to have run before, which is one that at the end of the day appeals to Republican primary voters in Texas. And Texas is a Republican-leaning state. Republicans have the advantage, of course, here in terms of numbers and have for a long time. And so in these races in Texas, when Republicans are able to drive that turnout in the Republican primary, that has been enough from like a political communication standpoint for them to win races. The underlying numbers for Paxton in this race are not nearly as favorable as they have been in previous races that he's run, nor are they as favorable as they were for Ted Cruz at this point in 2018. He obviously has pretty high underlying negative perceptions around the state. But at the same time, we see on the ground, he's had recent rallies, not only in the Metroplex, but down in Central Texas and San Antonio, where lines have gone around the block, right? And they've had to shut down allowing people into restaurants and the spaces in which he's holding these rallies because there's been too many people there. So whether that message that he's delivering is resonating beyond the Republican primary base, I think is going to be kind of the story of this campaign. And it may be, of course, that Texas being what it is, that Republican base is enough to push him to victory in November. But I think it's far from certain that that's the case, especially we haven't even talked about kind of national headwinds at the moment, which seem to be pushing up against Republican electoral success in November.
We keep hearing from Republicans that people will come back, they'll come home for the November election. And Governor Abbott's going to be advertising. Lieutenant Governor is going to be advertising. Paxton said he's going to be advertising once he raises money and receives money from Trump's super PACs, et cetera. And do you think that will be enough?
From a Democratic perspective and strategies that they might use to win this race, it's like, okay, we can focus on converting Republicans, at least in this one election, right? Let's get some of them to cross the aisle and vote for our guy. But you actually don't need to do that, right? What you need to do, I think at a minimum, is convince Republicans to stay home, right? Or feel uncomfortable ticking that box next to Ken Paxton's name due to the type of baggage that he carries around and that everybody seems to associate with him.
And what we've seen so far in Talarico's ads on TV, at least, is him and affordability, him in a pickup truck, two pickup trucks. One I think was a Toyota Tacoma, another was a full-size Ram pickup, and the other with his grandfather on the front porch. What is that televising, in your opinion?
I think he's trying to do a couple of things right now in his ad. So obviously the trucks, you can never have enough trucks. You can never have enough grandpas on the front porch. So I think he's trying to signal to Texans, I am one of you. But I do think what he's trying to do there is counter a bit of this Paxton narrative that Talarico is not a masculine kind of Texas candidate. You heard him obviously talk. You heard Paxton talk about how Talarico is a vegan and calls him tofu Talarico, and Talarico responded, I've been eating barbecue since before your first indictment. So some of these things are just patently false. But what I think the Paxton campaign is very consciously trying to do is to cast Talarico as an outsider, right? And then I think the other thing that Talarico is trying to do in his ads is try and tie some of Paxton's corruption, which again, at this point is very well documented. He had, people in his own party voting, of course, to impeach him in the Texas legislature, but tying Paxton's corruption to some kind of populist economic policies that seem to be playing pretty well right now nationwide.